This is a copy of the speech that Socrates gave in 399 BC, when he tried to defend himself against the charges that he was corrupting the youth, and that he does not believe in the gods that the city believes in. Plato's apology is considered the most reliable source about Socrates' trial. Except for 2 short conversations with Miletus, here this monologue becomes a dialogue. Apart from that, the entire text is written in the first person from Socrates' perspective, as if this is the same speech that he actually gave. During the speech, Socrates mentions twice that Plato was present there. In the beginning of the apology, Socrates says that he suspects that the people of Athens, that is, the jury of Athens, have fallen for the words of those speaking against him. Socrates further says that philosophy begins when a person truly accepts that he knows nothing. Later, he explains that whatever wisdom he has, whatever understanding, comes from the fact that he knows nothing. Socrates' speech shows how skilled he was in speaking, a master orator. He was persuasive and wise. Yet this speech, which we can trust that Socrates actually said something like this, did not save him, and he was sentenced to death. Let us listen to his speech. "O people of Athens, what effect the words of those speaking against me had on you, I cannot say. But I know this much, that they forced me to forget myself. They spoke with such confidence and so well, while the truth is that they did not speak a single word of truth. But among the heap of lies they spoke, one thing surprised me the most. When they said that you should be careful and not fall for the deception of my speaking art, saying this while knowing that as soon as I open my mouth I will be caught and it will be proven that I am no great speaker. This seemed very shameless to me. Yes, if by speaking art they mean the power of truth, then I admit that I speak well, but my way is completely different from theirs. Anyway, as I was saying, they probably spoke hardly any truth. But from me, you will hear the complete truth, but not in the way they speak truth, dressed up and using heavy words. No, by God, I will use the same words and arguments that come to my mind at that moment, because I trust that I am right. At my age, I should not come before you people of Athens like a childish speaker. Do not expect that from me, and I ask you one favor. If in my defense I speak in the same way as I always speak, the same words that I use in the market or at shops, then please do not be surprised and do not interrupt me, because I am over 70 years old and have come to a court for the first time, so I am completely unaware of the language here. Therefore, consider me a foreigner, a stranger, whom you forgive if he speaks in his native language and in the ways of his country. Am I asking for something wrong from you? People of Athens, do not pay attention to my manner of speaking. Whether it is good or bad, just pay attention to the truth of my words. Let the speaker speak the truth, and let the judge make the right decision. And first of all, I have to answer the old accusations, old charges, and my first accusers. And then I will come to the later ones, because there have been many enemies of mine from old times who have lied about me in front of you for many years, and I fear them more than Anytus and his companions, although they are dangerous in their own way. But those people are more dangerous, who started when you were children and captured your minds with their lies, saying that there is a wise man named Socrates who thinks about heavenly matters, searches beneath the earth and proves the wrong thing right. These people who spread this story are the enemies I fear. People of Athens, because the listeners think that people who ask such questions do not believe in God, and there are many of them, and their accusations are very old. People of Athens, and they were made when you people were more easily influenced than now, in childhood, or perhaps in youth, and the decision became one-sided because there was no one to answer. And the most difficult thing, people of Athens, I do not even know the names of those accusers and cannot tell, except for one or two playwriters. a comic poet. All those who incited you out of jealousy and hatred, and some who first convinced themselves. Dealing with such people is the most difficult, because I cannot call them here and cannot question them. So in my defense, I have to fight only with shadows and then argue when there is no one to answer. So I say to you, people of Athens, that except as I said, my opponents are of two kinds, one new and the other old, and I hope you will understand why I should answer the old ones first, because you have heard those accusations much earlier and many times than the new ones. So let me present my defense, people of Athens, and try to remove that defamation, that slander, in a short time, which has been going on for a long time. I wish I succeed, if success is for my and your good. This task is not easy. I understand its difficulty well. Still, leaving the result to God, following the law, I will now give my defense. I will start from the beginning and ask what is that accusation which caused my defamation and which gave Miletus the courage to make this accusation against me. So what do the defamers say? They will become my prosecutors, and I add their words to an affidavit. Socrates is a bad man and a strange person, who searches for things beneath the earth and in the sky, and he shows the wrong thing as right, and he teaches the same to others. The accusation is something like this. It is exactly like what you saw in Aristophanes' comedy. People of Athens, which showed a man whom he calls Socrates, who keeps wandering and says that he walks in the air and talks nonsense about such things which I neither know much nor little about. I am not speaking ill of those people. People of Athens who study natural philosophy. I would be very sad if Miletus could make such a serious accusation against me. But the plain truth is, people of Athens, that I have nothing to do with these physical searches. Many people present here are witnesses to this truth, and I appeal to them. So speak, you people who have heard me, and tell your neighbors whether anyone has ever heard me speak little or much on these matters. You have heard their answer, and from what they are saying about this accusation, you can guess the truth of the other accusations. People of Athens, there is as little truth in the claim that I am a teacher and take money. There is as much lie in this accusation as in the other. Although if a man can really teach people, then taking money in exchange for teaching would be a matter of respect for him in my eyes. There are people like Gorgias, Prodicus, and Hippias who go from city to city and convince the youth to leave the people of their city who can teach them for free and come to them whom they not only pay money but also feel thankful that they are allowing them to pay. At this time, a philosopher from Paros is living in Athens about whom I have heard, and I came to know about him in such a way that I met a man who has spent a lot of money on sophists. Callias, son of Hipponicus, because he had sons. I asked him, Callias, I said, if your two sons were horses or calves, there would be no difficulty in finding someone to take care of them. We would hire a horse trainer or a farmer or make them better and perfect in their specialty. But since they are humans, how are you thinking of putting someone over them? Is there anyone who understands human and social qualities, this virtue? You must have thought about this because you have sons. Is there anyone? There is, he said. Who is he? I asked. And from which country? And how much money does he take? Evenus from Paros, he replied. He is that man, and he takes 5 minae. Evenus is fortunate. I said to myself, if he really has this understanding and teaches at such a low price, if I had the same, I would be very proud and boastful. But the truth is that I do not have such knowledge. I claim, people of Athens, that someone among you will answer yes, Socrates. But what is the root of these accusations, their origin that have been made against you? You must have done something strange. These rumors and talks about you would never have arisen if you were like other people. Tell us their cause, because we do not want to make a hasty decision about you. Now I consider this a right challenge, people of Athens, a right challenge. and I will try to explain to you why I am called wise and why I have such defamation. Pay attention, and although some of you may think that I am joking, I announce that I will tell you the complete truth. People of Athens, this fame of mine, this reputation, has come to me because of a special kind of understanding, a special kind of wisdom. If you ask what kind, then I will say that understanding which perhaps a human can achieve, because to that extent, I think I am wise. While the people I am talking about, people of Athens, perhaps have an understanding beyond human which I cannot describe because I do not have it. And whoever says that I have it is lying and is defaming my character. And here, people of Athens, I request you not to interrupt me, even if I seem to be speaking exaggeratedly, because what I will say is not mine. I will take you to a witness who is trustworthy. He will tell you about my understanding, if I have any, and what kind it is. You must know Cherephon. He was my friend from the beginning, and also your friend because he was with the people in the recent exile and came back with you. Anyway, Cherephon, as you know, was very impulsive in every work, very impetuous, and he went to Delphi and dared to ask the oracle, as I was saying, please do not interrupt me. So he asked the oracle whether anyone is wiser than me. And the Pythian prophetess replied that no man is wiser than me, no one is wiser. Cherephon himself is dead. But his brother who is in the court will testify to the truth of my words. Why am I telling all this? People of Athens, because I am going to explain to you why my name is so defamed. When I heard that answer, I said to myself, what could God mean? And what is the meaning of this riddle? Because I know that I have no understanding, no wisdom, neither small nor big. Then what is his meaning? When he says that I am the wisest man, and he is God and cannot lie, this would be against his nature. Against his nature. After thinking for a long time, I thought of a way to test this question, to try it. I thought that if I just find one man who is wiser than me, then I can go to God with the answer. I will say to him, look, this man is wiser than me, but you said that I am the wisest. So I went to a man who was considered wise and observed him carefully. There is no need to name him. He was a politician whom I chose for investigation, and the result was that when I started talking to him, I felt that he is not really wise. Although many people considered him wise, and he considered himself even more, and then I tried to explain to him that he thinks himself wise, but in reality, he is not. And the result was that he started hating me, and many other people present there also started hating me. And then I said to myself, well, I am wiser than this man, because neither of us probably knows anything good and noble, but he thinks he knows something when he does not know, while as I do not know, so I do not think I know. So in this small matter, I seem wiser than him, that I do not think I know what I do not know. Then I went to another who was considered even wiser, and the result seemed the same to me. And then he also started hating me, along with many others. After that, I went to many others one by one, and I saw that although it pained me and scared me, still I thought it necessary to consider God's work the most important. So to find the meaning of the oracle, I had to go to all those who were considered knowledgeable, and by the dog, people of Athens, because I must speak the truth to you. Truly, I had this experience, that those who had the highest reputations seemed almost the most deficient when examined according to the God, while those who were considered inferior seemed more reasonable. I must tell you about my wanderings as if I had accomplished some labors, so that you understand that the oracle is irrefutable. After the politicians, I went to the poets, to the tragic, dithyrambic, and others, thinking that there I would catch myself as more ignorant than them. So taking their poems, which seemed to me the most elaborated, I asked them what they meant, so that I could learn something from them. I am ashamed to tell you the truth, people of Athens, but I must tell. Almost everyone present there could explain those poems better than the poets themselves. So I soon realized about the poets that they do not write by wisdom, but by some natural talent and inspiration like prophets and soothsayers, because they also say many fine things but do not know anything about what they say. The same seemed to be the case with the poets, and at the same time I realized that because of their poetry, they thought themselves the wisest in other matters too, in which they were not. So I left them also thinking that I am superior to them in the same way as to the politicians. Finally, I went to the craftsmen, because I knew that I myself know practically nothing, and I was sure that I would find them knowing many fine things. And in this I was not deceived. They knew things that I did not know, and in that they were wiser than me. But people of Athens, even these good craftsmen, seem to have the same fault as the poets. Because each was skilled in his craft, he thought himself very wise in other most important matters too, and this error of theirs overshadowed their wisdom. So I asked myself on behalf of the oracle, whether I would prefer to be as I am, neither wise in their wisdom nor ignorant in their ignorance, or to have both as they have. So I answered myself and the oracle that it is better for me to be as I am. From this examination, people of Athens, many hatreds arose against me, and very severe and numerous, from which many slanders arose, and this name was given that I am wise, because those present each time think that I myself am wise in that in which I refute others. But probably, people of Athens, God is truly wise, and in this oracle he means this, that human wisdom is worth little or nothing. And he seems to name this Socrates, but uses my name only as an example, as if saying that among you humans he is wisest who, like Socrates, knows that his wisdom is truly worth nothing. So even now I go around searching and examining according to the God if I think any citizen or foreigner is wise. And when he does not seem so to me, I help the God and show that he is not wise. And because of this occupation I have no leisure for any public or private affairs worth mentioning, but I am in great poverty because of my service to the God. Moreover, the young men who follow me of their own accord, the sons of the wealthiest, take pleasure in hearing people examined, and often imitate me, and then try to examine others. And then they find, I think, many who think they know something but know little or nothing. Therefore, those examined by them are angry with me, not with them, and say that there is a certain Socrates who corrupts the youth. And when someone asks them what he does or what he teaches, they have nothing to say, because they do not know. But so as not to seem at a loss, they say the things ready against all philosophers, that he investigates things in the sky and under the earth, and does not believe in gods, and makes the worse argument the stronger. Because they do not want to tell the truth, I think, that they are shown up as knowing nothing while pretending to know. And since they are ambitious and energetic and numerous and speak consistently and persuasively about me, they have filled your ears for a long time with vehement slanders. From these Miletus and Anytus and Lycon have now attacked me, Miletus being angry on behalf of the poets, Anytus on behalf of the craftsmen and politicians, Lycon on behalf of the orators. So as I said at the beginning, I would be surprised if I could remove in such a short time the slander which has become so great because of them. This, people of Athens, is the truth for you, and I speak hiding nothing great or small, nor dissembling. And I know that I am hated because of these very things, which is proof that I speak the truth, and that this is the slander against me, and these are the causes. And whether you investigate this now or later, you will find it so. Enough then for my defense against the charges of the first accusers. Next I will try to defend myself against Miletus, who is good and patriotic, as he says, and the later accusers. Let us take their affidavit again, as of other accusers. It is something like this. Socrates is guilty of corrupting the youth, and of not believing in the gods in whom the city believes, but in other new spiritual beings. Such is the charge. Let us examine each part of this charge. He says that I am guilty of corrupting the youth, but I say, people of Athens, that Miletus is guilty because he jokes in earnest, lightly bringing people into court, pretending to be zealous and concerned about things he never cared about at all. That this is so, I will try to show you. Come here, Miletus, answer me. Is it not true that you think it very important that the youth be as good as possible? Yes. Come now, tell the judges who makes them better, for it is clear that you know, since you care. For having found the one who corrupts them, as you say, me, you bring me before these and accuse me. But come, say who makes them better, and inform them who it is. You see, Meletus, that you are silent and do not know what to say, and yet does this not seem shameful to you, and sufficient proof of what I say, that you have never cared? But say, good man, who makes them better? The laws! But that is not what I ask, best of men. But what man, who first knows this very thing, the laws? These, Socrates, the judges. What do you say, Meletus? These are able to educate the youth and make them better? Most certainly. All, or some yes and some no? All. Well spoken by Hera, and a great abundance of benefactors you mention. But what about the audience? Do they make them better or not? They too. And the counselors? The counselors too. But then, Meletus, those in the assemblymen, do not corrupt the youth? Or do they all make them better too? They too. So all the Athenians apparently make them noble and good except me, and I alone corrupt them. Is that what you say? Most emphatically, that is what I say. You condemn me to great misfortune. But answer me, does it seem to you to be so also in the case of horses, that all men make them better and one certain person corrupts them? Or quite the opposite, that one certain person is able to make them better, or very few, the horse trainers, while the many, if they deal with and use horses, corrupt them? Is it not so, Meletus, both in the case of horses and all other animals? Certainly it is, whether you and Anytus deny it or agree, for it would be great good fortune for the youth if one alone corrupts them, and the others benefit them. But in fact, Meletus, you show sufficiently that you never thought about the youth, and you reveal your indifference, that you have cared nothing about the things for which you bring me here. But tell us further, Meletus, by Zeus, is it better to live among good citizens or wicked? Sir, answer, for surely it is not difficult. Do not the wicked do something bad to those who are with them at each moment, and the good something good? Certainly. Is there anyone who prefers to be harmed by his associates rather than benefited? Answer, good man, for the law orders you to answer. Is there anyone who wants to be harmed? Of course not. Come then, do you bring me here because I corrupt the youth and make them worse, voluntarily or involuntarily? Voluntarily, I say. What then, Meletus? Are you at your age so much wiser than I at my age that you have realized that the bad always do something bad to those closest to them and the good do good? But I have come to such a depth of ignorance that I do not know this, that if I make someone of my associates bad, I risk getting something bad from him, and I do this great evil voluntarily, as you say. I am not convinced by you, Meletus, and I think no one else is. Either I do not corrupt, or if I corrupt, I do it involuntarily, so in both cases you lie. If I corrupt involuntarily, the law is not to bring me here for such wrongs, but to take me aside and teach and admonish me, for it is clear that if I learn, I will stop doing what I do involuntarily. But you avoided associating with me and teaching me, and did not want to, but bring me here, where the law is to bring those who need punishment, not learning. But, people of Athens, what I was saying is already clear, that Meletus never cared about these things much or little. But nevertheless, tell us, how do you say I corrupt the youth, Meletus? Or is it clear, according to the indictment you wrote, by teaching them not to believe in the gods in whom the city believes, but in other new spiritual things? Do you not say that by teaching this I corrupt? I do say this most emphatically. Then by those very gods about whom the speech now is, Meletus, speak to us still more clearly, both to me and to these men. For I cannot understand whether you say that I teach to believe that there are some gods, and myself believe that there are gods, and am not altogether atheistic nor guilty in that way, but not the ones the city believes in, but others, and this is what you accuse me of, that they are others. Or do you say that I myself do not believe in gods at all, and teach others this? This I say, that you do not believe in gods at all. Oh, wondrous Meletus, why do you say this? Do I not then believe, like other men, that the sun and moon are gods? By Zeus, gentlemen judges, he does not, since he says the sun is stone and the moon earth. Do you think you are accusing Anaxagoras, dear Meletus? And do you so despise these men, and think they are so unlearned in letters as not to know that the books of Anaxagoras of Clazomenae are full of such arguments? And the youth learn these things from me, when sometimes they can buy them for a drachma at most in the orchestra, and laugh at Socrates if he pretends they are his, especially since they are so strange. But by Zeus, do I seem to you so? Do I believe there is no God? No, by Zeus, none at all. You do not speak the truth, Meletus, not even to yourself, it seems to me. This man seems to me, people of Athens, very insolent and unrestrained, and simply to have written this indictment with some youthful insolence and unrestraint, for he is like one testing me by composing a riddle. Will the wise Socrates recognize that I am joking and contradicting myself, or will I deceive him and the others who hear? For he seems to me to contradict himself in the indictment, as if he were to say, Socrates is guilty of not believing in gods, but believing in gods. And this is joking. Join me in examining, men, how he seems to me to say this. And you answer us, Meletus. And you, as I asked you at the beginning, remember not to make an uproar if I speak in my accustomed way. Is there anyone, Meletus, who believes in human affairs but not in humans? Let him answer, men, and not make an uproar again and again. Is there anyone who does not believe in horses but believes in horse affairs? Or who does not believe in flute players but believes in flute affairs? There is not, best of men. If you do not want to answer, I say it to you and these others. But answer the next thing. Is there anyone who believes in spiritual affairs but not in spirits? No. How nobly you answered, compelled by these. So you say in the indictment which you wrote and swore that I believe in spiritual things, new or old. At any rate, I believe in spiritual things according to your speech. So I believe in spirits, clearly. But if I believe in spiritual things, it is quite necessary that I believe in spirits or gods. Is it not so? It is. I will assume that you agree, since you do not answer. But do we not think the spirits are either gods or children of gods? Yes or no, certainly. Then if I believe in spirits, as you say, if spirits are some kind of gods, this would be the riddle and joke which I say you pose, saying that I do not believe in gods, and again that I do believe in gods, since I believe in spirits. But if again spirits are some bastard children of gods, from nymphs or from others of whom it is also said, who would believe that there are children of gods, but not gods? For it would be as absurd as if someone should believe in children of horses and asses, mules, but not believe in horses and asses. But, Meletus, there is no way that you wrote this indictment except to test us, or else being at a loss for a true wrongdoing to charge. For there is no way that you could persuade any man who has even a little sense that the same person believes in spiritual and divine things, and again the same person believes in neither spirits nor gods nor heroes. But people of Athens, that I am not guilty according to Meletus's indictment does not seem to me to need a long defence, but this is sufficient. But what I said earlier, that much hatred has arisen against me, and among many, know well that this is true. And this is what will convict me, if it convicts not Meletus nor Anytus, but the slander and envy of many, which has convicted many other good men, and will convict, I think. There is no fear that it stops at me, but perhaps someone might say, are you not ashamed, Socrates, of having followed such a pursuit, from which you are now in danger of dying? But I should justly answer him, you do not speak well, sir, if you think a man who is of even a little benefit should take into account the danger of living or dying, but rather consider this alone when he does things, whether they are just or unjust, and the acts of a good or bad man. For according to your speech, those of the demigods who died at Troy would be worthless, especially the son of Thetis, who so despised danger in comparison with enduring disgrace that when his mother, being a goddess, said to him, as he was eager to kill Hector, something like this, as I think, Son, if you avenge the murder of your comrade Patroclus and kill Hector, you yourself will die. For straightway after Hector is fate ready for you. But he, hearing this, made light of death and danger, and fearing much more to live as a coward and not avenge his friends, said, Straightway may I die after exacting vengeance on the wrongdoer. that I may not stay here ridiculous beside the curved ships, a burden on the earth. Do you think he cared for death and danger? For this is truly so, people of Athens. Wherever someone stations himself thinking it best, or is stationed by a ruler, there he must stay and run the risk, as it seems to me, and not take into account death or anything else except disgrace. So I would have done terrible things, people of Athens, if, when the commanders whom you elected to command me stationed me, both at Potidaea and at Amphipolis and at Delium, I stayed where they stationed me like anyone else and ran the risk of death. But when the gods stationed me, as I thought and assumed, ordering me to live philosophizing and examining myself and others, then I were to desert my post through fear of death or anything else. That would be terrible, and truly then someone might justly bring me into court, saying that I do not believe in gods, disobeying the oracle, and fearing death, and thinking I am wise when I am not. For to fear death, men, is nothing other than to think oneself wise when one is not, to think one knows what one does not know. For no one knows whether death is not the greatest of all goods for a human being, but they fear it as if they knew well that it is the greatest of evils. And yet, is this not the most blameworthy ignorance, to think one knows what one does not know? But I, men, perhaps differ from most men in this also, and if I would say that I am wiser than someone in anything, it would be in this. Not knowing sufficiently about the things in Hades, I also think that I do not know. But to do injustice and disobey one's superior, whether god or human being, I know is bad and shameful. So I will never fear or avoid things that may, for all I know, be good more than things I know are bad. So even if you now let me go, not persuaded by Anytus, who said that either I should not have come here at all, or since I did come, it was impossible not to kill me, saying to you that if I am let go now, your sons will all practice what Socrates teaches, and all be thoroughly corrupted. If you would say to me in reply to this, Socrates, we will not obey Anytus now, but let you go, on this condition, however, that you no longer spend time in this investigation or philosophize, and if you are caught doing this again, you will die. If then you would let me go on this condition, as I said, I would say to you, I honor and love you, men of Athens, but I will obey the god rather than you, and as long as I breathe and am able, I will not stop philosophizing and exhorting you and showing you, saying to any one of you I ever meet what I am accustomed to say, best of men, being an Athenian, of the city that is greatest and most reputed for wisdom and power, are you not ashamed to care for money, to make as much as possible, and for reputation and honor, but for intelligence and truth and your soul, that it be best you neither care nor take thought? And if any of you disputes and says he does care, I will not let him go nor go away myself, but I will question and examine and refute him. And if he does not seem to me to possess virtue but says he does, I will reproach him for regarding the most important things as least, and the more worthless as more. This I will do for anyone I meet, young or old, foreigner or citizen, but more for the citizens, inasmuch as you are closer to me in birth. For know well that the god orders this. And I think that no greater good has ever come to be in the city than my service to the god. For I go around doing nothing but persuading both young and old among you not to care for your body or money in preference to, or as much as, for your soul, that it be best, saying that virtue does not come from money, but money and all other human things, both public and private, come from virtue. If by saying these things I corrupt the youth, these things must be harmful. But if someone says that I say other things than these, he speaks nonsense. In view of this, I would say, men of Athens, either obey Anytus or not, and either let me go or not, since I would not do otherwise, not even if I were to die many times. Do not make an uproar, men of Athens, but remain for me, as I asked you, not to make an uproar at what I say, but to listen. For as I think, you will benefit by listening. For I am going to say other things to you, at which you will perhaps cry out, but do not do that at all. For know well that if you kill me, being such as I say, you will harm yourselves more than me, for neither Meletus nor Anytus harms me, he cannot. For it is not possible that a better man be harmed by a worse. Perhaps he kills or exiles or disfranchises, but this man probably thinks, and others too, that these are great evils. But I do not think so, but much more to do what he is doing now, to try to kill a man unjustly. Now therefore, men of Athens, I am far from defending myself for my own sake, as someone might think, but I do it for your sake, lest in condemning me you err regarding the gift of the God to you. For if you kill me, you will not easily find another such as me, who, even if it is rather ridiculous to say, has been fastened to the city by the god as if to a great and noble horse that is rather sluggish because of size and needs to be aroused by some gadfly. So the god seems to have fastened me to the city as such, arousing and persuading and reproaching each of you, and landing everywhere on you the whole day. Another such as this, men will not easily arise for you, but if you obey me, you will spare me. But perhaps being irritated like those aroused from drowsiness, slapping me, obeying Anytus, you might kill me easily. Then you would spend the rest of your lives sleeping unless the God in care for you sends you someone else, that I happen to be such as to have been given by the God to the city. You might recognize from this, it does not seem human that I have neglected all my own affairs and endured the neglect of my household for so many years now, but always do your affairs, going to each privately like a father or elder brother persuading to care for virtue. If I was getting something from this and was receiving pay, persuading these things, it would have some reason. But now you see yourselves that the accusers, who accuse the other thing so shamelessly, could not become so impudent as to provide a witness that I ever took any pay or asked for it. For I provide, I think, a sufficient witness that I speak the truth, my poverty. Perhaps it might seem absurd that I go around advising privately in this way and being a busybody, but do not dare to go before your multitude and advise the city publicly. But the cause of this is what you have heard me say many times in many places, that something divine and spiritual comes to me, which also Meletus ridiculed in the indictment he wrote. This began for me since childhood, a certain voice which when it comes speaks me off from what I am about to do, but never urges me on. This is what opposes me doing politics, and very nobly it seems to me to oppose. For know well, men of Athens, if I had long ago attempted to do politics, I would long ago have perished and benefited neither you nor myself. And do not be angry with me for speaking the truth. For there is no human being who will be spared if he genuinely opposes you or any other multitude and prevents many unjust and unlawful things from happening in the city. But it is necessary that he who really fights for the just, if he is going to be safe for even a short time, live privately but not publicly. I will provide you great proofs of these things, not words, but what you honor, deeds. Hear then what happened to me, to know that I would not yield to anyone contrary to the just through fear of death, but not yielding I would perish at once. I will tell you things burdensome and legal, but true. For I, men of Athens, never held any other office in the city, but I was a counsellor, and our tribe Antiochus held the prytany when you wished to judge collectively the 10 generals who did not pick up the slain from the sea battle, unlawfully, as it seemed to all of you afterwards. But at the time I alone of the Prytanes opposed doing anything contrary to the laws, and I voted against. And when the orators were ready to indict me and arrest me, and you ordered and shouted, I thought I must run the risk with the law and the just, rather than side with you through fear of prison or death when you wished unjust things. This was when the city was still under democracy, but when the oligarchy came, the 30 sent for me and 4 others to the Tholos, and ordered us to bring Leon the Salaminian from Salamis to be killed. They ordered many such things to many others, wishing to involve as many as possible in guilt. Then, however, I showed again not by word but by deed that I do not care a whit for death, if that is not too rude. But all my care is to do nothing unjust or unholy. For that government, though so strong, did not frighten me into doing anything unjust. But when we came out of the Tholos, the 4 went to Salamis and brought Leon, but I went home. And perhaps I would have died for this, if the government had not been overthrown shortly after. And there are many witnesses to these things for you. Do you think then that I would have survived so many years if I had engaged in public affairs and acted worthily of a good man, aiding the just, and as one should, regarding that as most important? Far from it, men of Athens, nor would any other human being. But through all my life, if I did any public thing, I appear such, and privately the same, never conceding anything to anyone contrary to the just, neither to others nor to any of those whom my slanderers say are my pupils. But I was never anyone's teacher. But if anyone, young or old, desired to hear me speaking and doing my things, I never grudged it. Nor do I converse receiving money, and not without it, but I offer myself equally to rich and poor to ask questions, or if someone wishes to answer and hear what I say. And whether any of them becomes noble or not, I would not justly be held responsible, who neither promised any learning to any nor taught. But if someone says he ever learned or heard anything privately from me which all others did not, know well that he does not speak the truth. But why ever do some enjoy spending much time with me? You have heard, men of Athens, I told you the whole truth, that they enjoy hearing those examined who think they are wise but are not. For it is not unpleasant, but this has been ordered me to do by the God, as I say, from oracles and from dreams, and in every way in which any divine allotment ever ordered a human to do anything. These things, men of Athens, are both true and easy to test. For if I am corrupting some of the youth and have corrupted others, surely some of them, becoming older, should have realized that I ever gave them bad advice when young, and now should come up to accuse and punish me. Or if they did not wish to do it themselves, some of their families, fathers and brothers and other relatives, if their kin ever suffered anything bad from me, should now remember and punish. Anyway, many of them are present here whom I see. First Crito here, my contemporary and fellow demesman, father of this Critobulus, then Lysanias of Sphetus, father of this Aeschines, also Antiphon of Cephisus, father of Epigenes. Further these others whose brothers have been with me in this way, Nicostratus, son of Theostotides, brother of Theodotus. Theodotus has died, so he could not beseech him, and Paralius here, son of Demodocus, whose brother was Theages, and Adimantus here, son of Ariston, whose brother is this Plato, and Aeantodorus, whose brother is this Apollodorus. And I can mention many others for you, of whom Meletus should particularly have provided someone as witness in his speech. But if he forgot then, let him provide now. I yield, and let him say if he has any such. But quite the opposite, men. You will find all ready to help me, the corrupter, the evil-doer to their kin, as Meletus and Anytus say. Now those corrupted might perhaps have reason to help me, but the uncorrupted older men already, their relatives, what other reason do they have to help me except the right and just one, that they know well Meletus lies, but I speak truth? Well, men of Athens, these are pretty much the things I would say in defence, and others perhaps like them, but perhaps one of you might be angry remembering himself if he, contesting even a small lawsuit, begged and supplicated the judges with many tears, bringing forward his children and many other relatives and friends to arouse as much pity as possible. But I do none of these things, though contesting, as it might seem, the ultimate danger. Perhaps then, considering this, someone might be more stubborn toward me, and angry because of this very thing, vote in anger. If any of you is so, and I do not expect it, but if, I think it fair to say to this man, I too, best of men, surely have relatives. For, to use the same speech as Homer, I am not born from oak or rock, but from humans. So I have relatives and sons too, men of Athens. 3, one already a lad, and 2 children. But nevertheless, I will not bring any of them forward here, and beg you to acquit me. Why ever not? Not from arrogance, men of Athens, nor from disrespect for you. Whether I am bold toward death is another story. But in view of reputation, for me and you and the whole city, it does not seem noble to me to do these things at my age, and with this name, whether true or false. But nevertheless, it is thought that Socrates differs from most men in something. If then those of you reputed for wisdom or courage or other virtue will act in this way, it would be shameful. I have often seen some such in trials, reputed to be something. They do wondrous things when tried, as if they think they will suffer something terrible if they die, as if they would be immortal if you do not kill them. These seem to me to attach shame to the city, so that some stranger might suppose that those outstanding in virtue among Athenians, whom they choose over themselves for rulers and other honours, are no better than women. For these things, men of Athens, neither should those of you who are reputed at all do them, nor if we do should you allow it. But make this clear, that you will much more convict the one who brings in these pitiful dramas and makes the city ridiculous than the one who keeps quiet. But apart from reputation, it does not seem just to me to beg the judge, nor to be acquitted by begging, but to teach and persuade. For the judge does not sit for this, to grant justice as a favour, but to render judgment. And he has sworn not to favour whom he pleases, but to judge according to the laws. So neither should we accustom you to swear falsely, nor you be accustomed, for neither would be pious. Do not expect, men of Athens, that I will do such things before you, which I think neither noble, nor just, nor pious, and certainly not, by Zeus, when being accused of impiety by Miletus here. For clearly, if by begging I persuade you, and force you by begging against your oath, I would teach you not to believe in gods, and simply accusing myself I would defend myself by not believing in gods, but far from it. For I believe, men of Athens, as none of my accusers, but I trust you and the God to judge me as is best for me and for you. That I am not grieved, men of Athens, at this vote of yours, has happened to me for many reasons, and this which happened was not unexpected by me, but I wonder much more at the number of votes each way, for I did not think it would be by so few, but by many. Now, however, as it seems, if only 30 votes had changed sides, I would have been acquitted. So Miletus, as it seems to me, I have even now been acquitted of, and not only acquitted, but anyone can see that if Anytus and Lycon had not come up to accuse me, he would have been fined 1,000 drachmae for not receiving a fifth of the votes. So the man proposes death for me. Well, what counter penalty shall I propose to you, men of Athens? Clearly the deserved one. What then? What do I deserve to suffer or pay, because I did not keep quiet in life, but neglecting what the many care for, money-making and household management and generalships and public speaking and other offices and conspiracies and parties arising in the city, thinking myself too decent really to survive if I went into these? I did not go into things where I would benefit neither myself nor you, but went to each privately to perform the greatest benefit, as I affirm, and tried to persuade each of you not to care for any of his own things before caring for himself, how he can be best and wisest, nor for the city's things before the city itself, and other things similarly. What then do I deserve to suffer being such? Something good, men of Athens, if I must truly propose according to desert, and moreover some good such as would be suitable for me. What then is suitable for a poor benefactor who needs leisure to exhort you? There is nothing more suitable, men of Athens, than that such a man be fed in the Prytaneum, much more than if one of you wins at Olympia with a horse, or 2-horse or 4-horse chariot, for he makes you seem happy, but I make you be, and he does not need food, but I need. So if I must propose according to the just desert, I propose this, food in the Prytaneum. Perhaps, however, I seem to you to say this just like about pity and begging from arrogance. But it is not so, men of Athens, but rather this. I am convinced that I never voluntarily wronged any human, but I cannot persuade you of this, for we discussed a short time. But I think if there was a law in Athens as in other cities that death cases not be judged in one day, I would have persuaded you. But now I cannot easily disprove great slanders in a short time. People of Athens, and since I am convinced that I never wronged another, I will certainly not wrong myself. I will not say of myself that I deserve any evil, or propose any penalty. Why should I? Because I fear the penalty Miletus proposes, when I do not know whether it is good or bad. Shall I then choose what I know well is bad, proposing that? Imprisonment. And why should I live in prison, enslaved to the 11 who are established each year? Or a fine, and imprisonment until I pay? But this is the same difficulty for me, for I have no money to pay. But shall I propose exile? For perhaps you would grant this. But I would be very blind in love of life if I am so unreasonable as to expect that when you, who are my fellow citizens, could not endure my speeches and words, and found them so burdensome and odious that you now seek to be rid of them, others will easily bear them. Far from it, men of Athens. And what a life would I live at my age, wandering from city to city, always changing exile. For I know well that wherever I go, the youth will listen to me as here, and if I drive them away, they will persuade the elders to drive me out, and if I do not drive them away, their fathers and relatives will drive me out for their sake. Perhaps someone might say, "But can you not go away and keep quiet, Socrates?" Now this is the hardest of all to persuade some of you. For if I say that this is to disobey the god, and therefore I cannot keep quiet, you will not believe me, thinking I am ironic. And if I say again that this is the greatest good for a human, to discuss virtue every day, and the other things about which you hear me discussing, examining myself and others, and that the unexamined life is not worth living for a human, you will believe me still less saying this. But, men of Athens, this is so, as I say, but not easy to persuade. Moreover, I am not accustomed to think myself deserving of any harm. If I had money, I would propose as much fine as I could pay, for there would be no harm. But I have not, unless you wish to set the fine at what I can pay. But perhaps I could pay you a mina, so I propose that. Plato, Crito, Critobulus, and Apollodorus, my friends here, tell me to say 30 minae, and they will be sureties. So let it be 30 minae, since they will be solid security for you. Not much time will be gained, men of Athens, in return for the evil name to you from those who wish to revile the city, that you killed Socrates, a wise man. For they will say I am wise, even if I am not, when they wish to reproach you. If you had waited a short time, this would have come by itself. For you see my age, that I am already far along in life and near death. I say this not to all of you, but to those who voted for my death. And I have something else to say to them. Perhaps you think, men of Athens, that I was convicted for lack of such words as would have persuaded you if I thought I should do and say everything to be acquitted. Far from it. But I was convicted for lack not of words, certainly not, men of Athens, but of boldness and shamelessness and willingness to say to you such things as you would most pleasantly hear, wailing and lamenting and doing and saying many other things unworthy of me, as I say, such as you are accustomed to hear from others. But I did not think then that because of the danger I should do anything unworthy of a free man, nor do I now repent of defending myself thus. But I much prefer to die having defended myself thus than to live thus. For neither in court nor in war should I or anyone else contrive to escape death by every means. In battles too it often becomes clear that one might escape death by throwing down arms and turning to supplicate pursuers. And there are many other contrivances to escape death in each danger if one dares to do and say everything. But this is not difficult, men, to escape death, but much more difficult to escape wickedness. For it runs faster than death, and now I, being slow and old, am caught by the slower, but my accusers, being clever and sharp, by the faster, evil. And now I go away condemned by you to death, but they condemn by truth to wickedness and injustice. And I abide by my penalty, they by theirs. Perhaps these things had to be so, and I think they are fitting. Next I desire to prophesy to you who condemn me. For I am already where men most prophesy, being about to die. I say to you, men who killed me, that vengeance will come upon you right after my death, much harsher by Zeus than that you kill me with. For you did this thinking to escape giving an account of your life. But the opposite will happen to you, as I say. There will be more accusers for you, whom I held back now, and you did not notice. And they will be harsher inasmuch as younger, and you will be more angry. If you think that by killing people you will prevent someone from reproaching you for not living correctly, you are mistaken, for that escape is neither possible nor noble. But the easiest and noblest is not to repress others, but to prepare oneself to be as good as possible. Having prophesied this to you who condemned me, I am released. But to you who acquitted me, I would like to discuss this event that happened, while the officials are busy, and before I go where I must die. So stay a while, friends, for nothing prevents discussing with each other while there is time. For to you as friends I wish to show the meaning of what has now happened to me. For to me, judges, for in calling you judges I call you correctly, something wonderful has happened. For the accustomed prophetic monitor, the divine sign, always in all former time opposed me very frequently, even in small things, if I was about to do something not right. But now, as you see yourselves what has happened to me, which one might think, and is supposed to be the extreme of evils, but the sign of the god did not oppose me either leaving home in the morning, or coming to the court, nor throughout the speech at anything I was about to say. Yet often in other speeches it stopped me in the middle of speaking, but now it opposed nothing in this affair, either in deed or word. What then do I suppose is the cause? I will tell you. What happened is likely good, and those of us who think death is an evil are mistaken, for there is great proof of this. The accustomed sign would surely have opposed if I was about to do something not good. Let us think this way too, that there is much hope it is good. For death is one of two things. Either to be dead is to be nothing and have no perception of anything, or as people say, it is some change and migration of the soul from this place to another. Now, if there is no perception but like a sleep, when one sleeping sees nothing even in dreams, death would be wondrous gain. For I think if someone were to pick the night in which he slept without seeing a dream, and compare this night to the other nights and days of his life, and say how many days and nights he lived better and more pleasantly than that night, I think not only a private man but the great king would find them easy to count compared to the other days and nights. So if death is like this, I say it is gain, for all time appears then to be nothing more than one night. But if again death is like emigrating from here to another place, and what is said is true, that all the dead are there, what greater good could there be than this, judges? For if one arriving in Hades, rid of these here who claim to be judges, will find the true judges who are said to judge there, Minos and Rhadamanthys and Iacchus and Triptolemus and the other demigods who were just in their lives, would the change be worthless? Or again, to associate with Orpheus and Musaeus and Hesiod and Homer, how much would any of you give? I am willing to die many times if these things are true, for to me myself spending time there would be wondrous. Whenever I meet Palamedes and Ajax son of Telamon, or any other of the ancients who died from an unjust judgment, comparing my experiences to theirs, I think it would not be unpleasant, and the greatest, to examine and search the people there, as those here, who is wise and who thinks he is but is not. How much would one give, judges, to examine the leader of the great expedition against Troy, or Odysseus, or Sisyphus, or countless others one might mention, men and women? To talk and associate and examine there would be inconceivable happiness. At any rate, there they certainly do not kill for it, for besides the other happiness, those there are happier than those here in this. They are immortal henceforth for all time, if what is said is true. But you too, judges, must be hopeful toward death, and think this one thing true, that nothing is bad for a good man either living or dead, and his affairs are not neglected by gods. Nor did mine now happen by chance, but it is clear to me that to die now and be released from affairs is better for me. Therefore the sign did not turn me away, and truly I am not at all angry with those who condemn me, nor with the accusers. Though they did not condemn nor accuse me thinking this, but thinking to harm. For this they deserve blame. Nevertheless, I ask this much of them. When my sons grow up, punish them, men, paining them as I pained you, if they seem to you to care for money or anything else before virtue. And if they seem to be something when they are nothing, reproach them as I reproach you, that they do not care for what they should, and think they are something when worth nothing. And if you do this, we will have been treated justly by you, both I and my sons. But it is now time to go away, I to die, and you to live. Which of us goes to a better thing is unclear to all but the God.